Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. This is Azru with another World of Tanks commentary. I'm playing a BatChat 25 ton on Malinovka in an encounter battle. I actually crashed when the match was first loading in and reconnected right before it started, so we're going to have to jump right in here. The BatChat is the pinnacle of the French medium line. It's small, it's fast, and it's deadly. And I've never met anyone who has the BatChat that didn't love it. So it's definitely one of the funnest tanks to play. When I'm playing my BatChats, one of my favorite things to do is to make a quick initial scouting run. Now, depending on your crew skills and your equipment, you can generally light up a sizable part of the enemy team. This gives your team an advantage because they can see where the enemy is sending their forces, where their heavy tanks are going, and it gives your artillery opportunity to take their first shot. Now, this isn't without risks. You're going to be getting shot at, and the other team here has got a Jagdpanzer U-100, T-30, high-tier artillery, so they have a lot of big guns, and 2 or 3 shots from those guys and I'd be done. So doing a maneuver like that is a little bit risky, but in this case I felt that the advantages outweighed the potential risks, so I decided to go ahead and do it. Now the BatChat is a very versatile tank. It can be a scout, it can be a sniper, and it can be a combat tank. And frequently, it'll be all 3 of those things in a single match. So the hallmark of a good BatChat player is recognizing when you need to shift roles and when you need to transition from one into the other. Now that the initial scouting phase is over for me, I'm going into the mid-match strategy phase. And my strategy is dependent on the fact that I'm platoon with 2 tier 8 artillery. So I'm basically focused on scouting for the artillery and protecting them. The other team has a tier 5 light, which is a T50-2, and one of their favorite strategies is to wait until 2 to 3 minutes into the match, wait until your team's all left the spawn and the artillery is sitting there, and then they'll go straight up the middle of the match, straight up the middle of the map as fast as possible to try and light up your artillery. So I was waiting in this bush to see what he would do, and he makes the run right up the middle. Luckily, my team takes him out before he gets any closer, so he didn't get to the artillery, and I'm happy now because I know that the fastest tank on the enemy team has been eliminated. He's the biggest threat, so I can focus a lot more on engaging the enemy team and on scouting and lighting up targets. Now on Malinovka, on Encounter as well as Standard, the linchpin of the map is the top of that hill. The top of the hill is just the most important strategic point. Whichever team takes it and holds it has a large advantage because they'll be able to light up the other team in a safer position, fire down upon them, and there's also, I feel, a little bit of a psychological factor in that whichever team ends up losing the hill frequently starts to play more poorly because they think that they've lost the match. So it's not always the case, but there is sometimes this little bit of a psychological factor. I have seen an alternate strategy, at least from this side of the map, on an encounter mode, which involves sending some fast tanks down into the J3, J4 area, and there's some buildings there and some cover, where if you send some like fast mediums, they can start working along the bottom of the map and pressure the enemy team from this. It's not something that would work every time. It has to be coordinated, definitely, but I have seen it work. If you're on the other side of the map, though, if you're spawning on the east/south side, then your options are a little bit more limited, and you really do have to fight for that hill. Let's take a second and talk about crew skills. On the commander, I've got Sixth Sense, which I really cannot emphasize enough is the most important crew skill in the entire game, and it just suits the BatChat's playstyle so well that if you don't have it, then I would drop whatever other skill you have and take it. It's really that important. So just knowing when you are safe and when you've been spotted and all that, it'll just make you so much more of a better player that I would drop whatever else you have and take Sixth Sense if you don't already have it. Other potential options, repairs, camo. There's the spotting skills, which can increase your view range. Nothing wrong with those. For my gunner, I've got snapshots, and he's working on camo right now. And on my driver, I've got smooth ride, and he's working on clutch braking. And then I also have brothers in arms on all my crews, so they're working on the third secondary skill. They all have brothers in arms, and I've got 2 guys working on camo, 1 guy working on clutch braking. Clutch braking is nice because the BatChat is kind of like a speedboat. It's super fast, but the turn radius is really wide, so it doesn't handle that great. So clutch braking kind of helps alleviate some of those problems. Smooth ride, definitely a nice skill to have. Decreases the size of your aiming reticle, and off-road driving is also viable. It'll make you go a little bit faster, and it does help your turn radius a little bit. Now, some of you guys might be wondering why I have camo and I don't have repairs on any of my crew. So the reason is I actually did used to have camo, or I'm sorry, I actually did used to have repairs on my crew, but then I decided to just try something different. So I dropped that, I picked up camo, and the BatChat really has good natural camo. So you see me throughout this match like sitting behind these bushes and taking pot shots, doing a lot of passive scouting, and so that basically all dovetails into what my overall strategy is, and I'm just taking advantage of the camo skill that I have. Without repairs, you are taking a little bit of a risk. If you get tracked, it takes way too long to fully repair your tracks, that if you get tracked out in the open, you're basically forced to blow your repair kit right away. And if you don't kit, then you're just like dooming yourself. So sometimes what will happen is that you got tracked earlier in the match, or maybe someone like damaged your ammo rack, or they damaged your gun or something, and so you had to use your repair kit on that. And at that point, you have to start playing a lot more conservatively, because if you do get caught out in the open, and if you do get tracked, then you're toast. There's no way you're going to survive. As far as equipment goes, everyone has ventilation, and everyone has a vertical stabilizer. So it's the third equipment slot where there's a little bit of a difference of opinion. Some people prefer the gunling drive, and if you are playing your BatChat as more of a combat vehicle, the gunling drive is a really good option. It helps you aim faster, and the gun on this tank, while powerful, does have a long aim time. So aiming faster is not only an offensive thing, but the less time that you have to expose yourself to aim, the less time you're exposing yourself to enemy fire. So it's also a defensive thing. The gunling drive is a good option. There's nothing wrong with it. Some people, including myself, prefer optics, and optics fits in with what I do a lot, which is the initial scout run and a lot of passive scouting. So increasing my view range by that 10%, it just provides a noticeable boost. All I can say is, as far as the equipment goes and as far as crew skill goes, that you just try out different things and see what works for you, depending on what your playstyle is. Don't take anyone's word for it. You just have to try it out for yourself. I'm going back to the match here. It was looking pretty dire for a while, but now that we've taken out that M48, I'm actually thinking that we have a realistic shot of winning this match. My platoon mate here, he's got the T95 targeted in, but the blocks is blocking his view. So I was waiting for the reload, and now I'm trying to shoot the box. And I turn all the way around so I can make like a fast getaway. Now I'm trying to see exactly where the box is so I can blow it up. And now he's going to shoot and get the reset. So this is the power of platooning, voice chat. Figuring out, or just being able to coordinate and know what your teammate is doing, and especially for certain tank types, like they synergize so well. Like the BatChat synergizes really well with other mediums and with artillery. And once you have this kind of coordination, like, you multiply your power on the battlefield exponentially. And you'll end up in situations like this where it comes down to like some crazy like 3-on-8 or 2-on-6 or whatever, and you end up pulling it out because you have that coordination, and you see the enemy team here is just kind of like streaming in one by one. They have no strategy, they don't know what they're doing, and they don't know what the other people on the team are doing. And they're kind of like throwing the match because they figure that, hey, we've got like 6 tanks left, they only have 2, low health. You know, this is like, this one's in the bag. And they just start doing stupid things. So your challenge is to recognize what the stupid things that the other team is doing, and just take advantage of that and turn the match back in your favor. Now, the biggest stupid thing that happened here is the T-95 is trying to cap. And on encounter battles, it's almost never worth it. I mean, I played a lot of encounter battles, and I would say that probably 1 out of 10 will be won by one of the teams capping it. But I've never played a Malinovka battle on encounter mode where it's been won by capping. Really, your only feasible option is to kill every tank on the enemy team. The T-95 here is just wasting his time, and he gets reset so easily. I'm trying here to figure out exactly where he is because I couldn't see him, so I take a guess that he's behind that bush and got lucky and I reset him. I was trying to play with the bush camo there and trying to back up so that I wouldn't be revealed. And it has to do with the mechanics of the War of the Tank spotting system. But I don't know if it was lag or what, but he still managed to spot me even though I had backed up all the way behind the bush. I'm going to end up going back all the way around to the other side here. And this is one of the most powerful features of the BatChat, is the fact that you are so fast, and you can reposition very easily to different parts of the map. And at this point, it's almost like it's like a predator playing games with prey. Like, I know that the T-95 is dead. I just have to not mess up. So he's so slow, and he doesn't know. I can be coming from like any angle, any direction, and I'm basically guaranteed to spot him before he spots me because I have about equal camo to what he has. But I know that I also have the advantage of having a full crew with ventilation, with brothers in arms, and with optics. So I know that I'm going to spot him before he spots me in any case. And at this point, he's kind of figured out that the gig is up. He got off the cap because he realized it was just a complete waste of time. Although I don't know why he ended up backing up into the middle of the field. But I mean, he knew he was dead either way. There's a couple minutes left in this match, and it's now down to a 2-on-2. So I'm thinking, you know, if we don't screw up, then we've got this win. So something does go a little bit wrong here, where my platoon mate Singularities, he gets spotted by the artillery down there, and he didn't know that he was spotted. So the artillery ends up taking a shot and killing him. And so the GWE takes the shot. Having a GWE myself, I know the reload is about 32 or 33 seconds. So that gives me all the time in the world to cross this field and take him out. We can speed this up a little bit. Now when you're in situations like this, you have to remember to always be taking evasive action, following the edge of this like the ridge, I guess, because it makes for a much harder shot for enemy artillery. And if you've played an artillery yourself, then you'll kind of figure out what parts of the map are really hard to hit people in. The other challenge when you're playing in situations like this, where like you're in a fast small tank and you're taking on enemy artillery, is not getting too close to them. When you get too close to them, then you're just making yourself a bigger target and giving them an easier time to hit you. So you have to remember not to panic and maintain somewhat of a distance from them. I mean, you'll be close enough so that you'll be able to either, you know, shoot them yourself, or your artillery will be able to take them out. But you'll be far enough away that if they're going to try and derp you, their chances of actually hitting you are quite low. So when you get in a situation like that, just remember not to panic, kind of keep your distance. If there are unusual terrain features, like there's a little bit of a hill there, or if there are a lot of like houses or other features that can obstruct their shot, you got to make sure to take advantage of that. All right, that was the end of that battle. Unfortunately, with the new replay system, even though they have these great after-battle statistics, I can't show them here in the actual video, but I'll post up some pictures, and you'll see in the pictures that I actually had equal spotting damage to my actual damage done. And that's one of the nicest features about the new statistics screen, is that it shows you how much damage was credited to you that you spotted a tank and your enemy damaged it. And you can get a much more complete picture of like not only what other people on your team are doing, but how successful you are being. You know, if your role is to, or if you decide that your role is to go out there and to spot enemy tanks and to allow your team to get the damage in while you're doing the spotting, then you can see how successful you are in that. If your goal is to do as much damage as possible, or to land as many shots as possible, or whatever it is, you can also see that. So it's really good that they start to include that now, but I really hope that they get the statistics back into the battle screen so that we can actually see what's going on after the replays. Anyways, thanks for watching this, and look out for more videos in the future.